All right, welcome to You Don't Know Ball. I'm Hunter. This is Dobbs. We're going to be doing our first NFL mock draft. This is after NFL Championship weekend. If you don't know ball and you want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a comment who you think is going to be going number one overall to the Chicago Bears, or if they're going to trade the pick, leave a like. We're going to get right into it. Dobbs is going to be picking odds. I'm going to be picking evens. I'm a Bears fan. He is a Saints fan, so we're going to be picking for each other's teams. We're going to do one round every pick. So, Dobbs, let's start it off with the number one pick. Who are you selecting for the Chicago Bears?
For number one, I'm not thinking about it. I'm saying Caleb Williams, come down to Chicago. Everybody's saying we need the Mahomes, we need a savior against Mahomes. I'm saying you're going to be our Mahomes savior, Mahomes archetype down here in the NFC. We need you, Caleb. Come on down to Chicago.
Yeah, as a Bears fan, I'm not really going to argue that one. I really like Caleb Williams to Chicago. I think they're going to trade Justin Fields. We're not doing any trades this draft, mostly because it's a one-round draft, and I think the compensation they'll get for Fields is probably second and past. So we'll take Caleb Williams, number one. Number two, I am going to be taking Drake May for the Washington Commanders. I think this makes the most sense for them. There is the argument that they can trade the pick and run it with Sam Howell because they could. It depends on what the GM is thinking on how far this rebuild needs to go. They also have a second and another second and an extra third-round pick for trading Montez Sweat and Chase Young. I think if the Commanders now are able to get Ben Johnson, who is the Lions offensive coordinator who just lost in the NFC Championship, I think pairing Ben Johnson with a rookie quarterback in a Drake May is going to reap a lot of benefits for the Washington Commanders in the future, and I don't think you can really justify trading down because if your team isn't horrible, yes, the Commanders finished with a bad record, but you can argue that coaching was part of it, and I don't know what you want to say. I don't think they're as bad as a 4-13 team. Now, the argument is, are you ever going to be able to get that high up in the draft again where you have the option to select your guy? I think if you're ever this high, you take your guy. So I'm going to go Drake May to the Washington Commanders.
I love it. That's a good, it's a good explanation.
Number three, we have the New England Patriots. Who are you taking, Dobbs?
See, this number three is really, really tough. I think, though, what I'm going to say is if you're the Patriots, you haven't struck on the receiver in so damn long. I think that the QB value isn't there for me right now. I love Jaden Daniels. I'm LSU homer. I don't know about taking number three. I think there's a lot more of a risk than the potential reward at the moment. Again, I may feel different about this come a few weeks after the combine and all the other things we're going to have coming up. As of right now, though, I'm playing it safe because I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational prospect, and we are going to say the Patriots, are going to take a generational receiver that we have not had since Randy Moss.
So Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Marvin Harrison Jr. is the pick.
I actually like that too because I know Gerard Mayo in his opening press conference says they're gonna get the quarterback position, that's something they need, and I don't know if they mean that through draft, if they mean that through free agency, and here is why I think taking Marvin Harrison over the quarterback is a smart decision. And because let's throw Jaden Daniels in that offense. At that point, you are basically, and obviously the draft happens after free agency, so anything could change that. You need your quarterback to throw the ball to. So if you take Jaden Daniels and you don't get a big splash in free agency, you're really hindering this man's development. And we know, Jaden Daniels, he was a breakout star this year. So if you get the wide receiver in there and you take a quarterback later, get a quarterback in free agency just to be kind of like a bridge guy, I think that is a lot more viable route than taking the QB3 off the board because it's he's the QB3 for a reason. It's Caleb Williams, small gap, Drake May, bigger gap, Jaden Daniels, depending on how you view these guys. But my thing is, I think taking the wide receiver here is smart because it's then you have the weapon. Now you can just put the quarterback in there and he's got his guy.
Oh, that's exactly my thought process. It was the QB. It's not set, but it's going to be figured out somehow. And I just feel like you take the guarantee. Future All-Pro as long as he can stay healthy. I mean, you can't say that about a lot of prospects. Marvin Harrison Jr. really is that type of prospect.
So, next we have number 4. We have the Arizona Cardinals. So, I can see this going two ways. I know a lot of people want to take a receiver. I would also not be upset with them taking a tackle. Pairing a Paris Johnson Jr. at 6 last year with a tackle at 4. Now, I guess your argument is that in that case, you really have to go get maybe a T. Higgins in free agency. You have to get a top guy. Now, I like the idea of pairing Neighbors with Kyler Murray. And I think because the Cardinals have a second first-round pick, you can get a tackle later. So with the number 4 pick, I'm going to take Malik Neighbors from LSU. I just think that makes the most sense. If you're able to re-sign Hollywood Brown, I think you have 2 good options there for Kyler. And you saw how Kyler played down the stretch this year.
No, I had to comment on this because I was going to say this was that. I was hoping you were going to go with this way with that pick because that's where I would go. Where I want to say it's a weird territory this year with the draft, and I think it'll change soon again. After the combine, I think a lot of the certain players are going to start getting a lot more recognition that they deserve. Malik Neighbors is in a weird kind of category where Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of like, I'm trying to think of like an analogy. It's like that meme from remember the Cotton Bowl this year where Quinn Ewers was like just sitting there by himself, but then Arch Manning had all the like people like coming over to like give him the clout. But it's like whole time, like Quinn can still do his thing.
Yeah.
But Quinn's not the same. Here's my thing. What I'm really trying to say is Malik Neighbors genuinely borderline, very nearly just as close as I'm serious to talent as Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
and he doesn't get, and for some reason, he gets not anywhere near enough. It's just never talked about. His route running is incredibly crisp. He is such a fluid mover. He can change directions literally on the snap of a finger. When I tell you that I do believe he is just as much in the foolproof All-Pro future range as Marvin Harrison, the only difference is obviously is like we say is you never know with injuries. But it's the thing. It's really not that much of a difference. All I'm saying is if they can both stay healthy, I do believe that they are both future All-Pros. Like it's not, there's this big gap between Marvin that everyone else sees. I'm telling you, there are multiple.
I don't think
reps
the gap is as big as people think.
Oh, there are multiple reps on tape where Malik is doing things that him and Marvin are the only 2 receivers doing in the country.
I think Marvin is the solidified number 1, but like it's not this like Marvin Harrison Jr. like this big of a gap. It's like Marvin Harrison Jr. Malik Neighbors,
And the jump that Malik made over the course of his career at LSU, I'll tell you firsthand, it was like, impressive. Oh, man, he's really the guy. Like, it's like you're getting a guy on a trajectory, which is the best way to have it, too.
So this is going to be a very interesting pick. Number 5, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Where are you going?
It's crazy,
Are you going flashy or are you going stability?
It's crazy, right? But I feel like we're in a weird position. But I think with the way that I'm seeing the league unfold, what I say to myself is, it seems to be that every quarterback that's in a great situation, they have a safety plug. And
George Kittle, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, and then Sam Laporta.
It's almost like a modern thing where having a guy who has extremely good body control and great hands that also can't be guarded by any slot defender is a huge advantage. And therefore, I'm not. It's simple to me. You give me Brock Bowers in a heartbeat because Brock Bowers truly is. He's a tight end, but he really does have a receiver skill set, and it's rare. Like this is one of those classes where genuinely the top 5 players taken, and it depends how you feel about Drake. Maybe that's a whole different. It's the Commanders are in a weird spot. The top 5 talents on the board
are huge,
genuinely, very much so. Future All Pros if they can stay healthy. It is a
feel like
loaded
the top 8.
It's like a top heavy loaded class this year. And yeah, Brock Bowers, you are getting truly one of the most interesting tight end prospects in history, and definitely the most interesting one since Kyle Pitts. We know what Kyle Pitts can do when Art Smith wasn't, putting him into a box. Yeah. But we'll get on that right now. Bottom line, Brock Bowers to the Chargers would be exactly what Justin Herbert needs.
I think so. I agree with you. The more I think about it, I would have also been okay with tackle because pairing a tackle with Rashawn Slater, like you're protecting Justin Herbert for however fucking
that was
long.
definitely next on the list.
Yeah, yeah. When I saw it, because it's funny you bring that up with the safety plug because I actually saw that earlier this morning on like Twitter. It's like the big 4 tight ends, like we're all in the NFC and AFC championship, so that makes sense for me. So this pick is very, very interesting. It's the New York Giants at number 6.
This is where it starts to get kind of crazy.
Because you've drafted tackles high, Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal. Andrew Thomas is kind of has panned out. Evan Neal, not so much. But you kind of hope that he makes the step. You don't have a ton of weapons on the outside. I kind of think you have to go Rome Odunze. I think 6 is kind of rich for him. I think if there's going to be any fallers in the guys that are drafted in the top 10, it's going to be Rome. But if you look at what the Giants really need, they kind of need... This is, to me, the Quentin Johnston pick of last year.
Okay.
This could really be that pick. Like, he could be that guy, but there is also a chance where he just doesn't. Like, I don't know. I feel like you have to select Rome here because like taking a tackle is basically giving up on Evan Neal, unless you want to move Evan Neal inside. But it's
with his size is also kind of not necessarily probably the
that's
best
what I'm
course of
saying.
action.
Like I really don't know what to do. I feel like Rome is kind of like the cop out have to pick in this situation.
See, I'll save it for when I'm evens. I had something up my sleeve that would be crazy right here, but I wouldn't even say it.
Like,
because we're gonna do more of these in the future, so I'll save it for when I'm evens next.
I'm gonna go Rome because, in my opinion, that is just like such a position of.
I like it though.
But like
are
Joe
you locking it in?
Yeah, I'm locking it in.
Okay, so I just had to make sure so I can lock it in too. I like it though. I think look, the reality situation is I'm with you where Rome's a very interesting prospect, right? Like he's got fantastic hands. He shows that he can create really well in space. I think, and he started getting a lot more separation this year. I just don't think he's nowhere near in that same foolproof range.
Right.
That we're seeing.
That is what I was saying.
Like
yeah.
it's been again, like I just said though about Malik. I think when you're getting with Rome that you love, if you're a scout and a GM and anyone in the building, is that you're getting someone on a steady rise. Like it's always very good to see like. That was good production, and then he built on it, and then he really built on. Like, okay, I like seeing a guy who's clearly is working on their craft every offseason and is not just relying on natural talent. So yeah, you're getting a guy in Rome who's definitely a hard worker and is on the uprise. All right, bro. So number 7, this is interesting because there's so many things you could do for the Titans, but I'm gonna stick with my philosophy, and I think if anything, this is kind of one of those ones where you really would have to look. You win and lose in the trenches long term. And if you're the Titans, you say, we got our guy. Like, we got the guy, and now it's our duty to make sure that we don't have this guy lose confidence through getting pummeled. And who's my guy that I think is going to give you the best shot to make sure that the 6'8", absolute wall on the edge over there. Give me Joe Alt. I think Joe Alt is going to be such he's a safety blanket on the O-line. Like, he gives you so much relief as a quarterback knowing that you have that on your blind side. It's just Joe Alt is the blindside one of this draft, in my opinion, where it's like you're really giving your QB a lot of comfort. For a young guy like Will Levis, that's so crucial. And like you have a lot of needs as it is if you're the Titans, so it's like you might as well start with where it's really, really a need. And the trenches are always the biggest need.
I agree. I think pairing him with Peter Skronsky, you're really starting to build like those anchors on that line. And my issue is like not issue. My thing is like you can argue that maybe Olu may have that higher ceiling, but Joe Alt's floor, in my opinion, is so high that it's like I would always take Alt before Olu in these situations because it's like if you want to take a tackle you know is going to be your guy, like you don't want like a Evan Neal situation. Like you want a guy who is for sure going to be that left tackle of the future.
No. I would say we've seen it a few times recently over the last few years, and even I've been a victim of it, where the more athletic tackle is very flashy and he catches your eye because of the development long term.
Yeah.
But it's like a 1 in 4 chance they ever really always hit that top ceiling where they can get the fundamentals to match the athleticism. And again, with a guy like Joel, you already know that the fundamentals are like maxed out, and then you can build off of that.
All right. Number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons. I am going to go Jaden Daniels here. This is a team that has been looking for their quarterback for quite a while. They have offensive weapons. Their O-line is there. They just hired Raheem Morris, and they have Zach Robinson, who was the passing game coordinator, I believe, for the Rams under Sean McVay. I think if you pair him with Jaden Daniels, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, you're starting to cook a little bit. And with Art Smith out of there, this pick gives me a lot more confidence. You're not trading assets for a quarterback. He fell to you. I think it is the easy selection for the Atlanta Falcons. The only other route I think they could take is if they trade down a little bit, pick up a cornerback, pick up an edge rusher. Like that is another route you can take. You could, if you really did want to reach on a cornerback, you could take like a Cooper DeJean or a Terrion Arnold. But I think in this situation, you fill the most important position on the field.
No, absolutely. Jaden Daniels to the Falcons would probably be, I would say, for like not for him personally, but for his play style right now, would be like the dream spot in the top 10. It just fits so perfectly,
especially in a McVay system.
And him and Bijan, like that is exactly where because I'll say after yesterday, I was seeing a lot of like Jahmyr Gibbs is clearly the better running back. I'm like, man, I'm not trying to, again, not to be disrespectful to Jahmyr. I think Jahmyr's an amazing talent too.
Bijan was not utilized.
But it's different. It's just much different when you're seeing him with a completely competent coaching staff and a completely competent scheme and a completely, right, where he's getting the majority of touches. It's like people haven't really seen Bijan at his peak yet. And I think we're going to revisit this in a couple years and everyone will kind of come back to the, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Bijan really is a generational running back. Hate me for saying it now. We'll come back to this again.
All right, number 9 with the Chicago Bears. Who are you taking?
I'm just really struggling with this one, bro.
Because
I'll tell you, it's like what I love to do is it's like Olu's the pick where it really screams out, right? But then it's like you have a little bit of it's kind of where not problematic, but you already have obviously Darnell Wright's the guy on the right side, and it's like on the left side, it's like I don't know, it hasn't been terrible, and it's like they're kind of guys where like Braxton, it's kind of hard maybe to vision kicking them over because of their size to a guard, even though it sounds like it's like if it works it'd be great, but it's also I don't know. It's kind of tough. So what I'm going to say is, like I've been saying, look, both trenches matter. And like I was just going to my rant about yesterday, you need to have guys that can win on pass rushing downs to be able to go all the way. And you know someone I know I know wins a lot of pass rushing downs.
I'm not going to lie. If you're going to do this, there's only one guy I would take here personally. I'm interested to hear what you say.
So I'm taking Jerzon Newton out of Illinois.
Okay.
The hometown guy, an absolute beast on the interior. I think the Bears, in my opinion, too, you have a good thing going in the interior. Add another guy to rotate to that line. And I think Jerzon Newton's ceiling is very, very high. I think you're looking at an all-pro type ceiling if you can get the right development out of him. I'm taking Jerzon Newton right here. And I'm saying, you know what? We're beefing up that D-line. The Bears need to come back to that old Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Don't you guys miss those days?
Oh, I miss it.
I'm envisioning those days where I'm saying, you know what? We're loading up. We're loading up on both sides early. We're not just going to side on one thing. We're going to address the offense and the defense.
So, okay, I actually would not have taken him there personally, just from my side. There's 3 people I would have taken: Olu Fashanu, Talise Fuaga, or Leatu Latu. I think with the way Gervon Dexter has showed like promise after this year, I think I would rather have an edge. I mean, I don't think it's a bad pick. Like, I don't think it's a bad pick. I think it definitely fills like a need that the Bears have. I would have rather just taken Leatu Latu to complement Montez Sweat, and I think that line becomes really dangerous. Obviously, if Johnny Newton becomes what he's supposed to be, that line is fucking ferocious. But I will say this about the tackles, too. I understand what you're saying about Braxton Jones, and for a long time I have felt that. But as I've more and more watched the draft process and looked into these prospects, Olu Fashanu and Talise Fuaga are both very good players.
Fuaga's so underrated.
I love Fuaga. And with the pick of Darnell Wright last year, I would not be surprised if this is someone Poles takes. But Olu, I would take Olu because at this point, like, he's the higher graded prospect. Great pass blocking. Could work on his run blocking. And my thing is, if I were to take Talise Fuaga, I wouldn't be opposed to keeping Braxton at left tackle and then kicking in Talise Fuaga to right guard, so then you have Tevin Jenkins and Talise Fuaga on the interior. Find a center in free agency or later in the draft, and you're cooking with that line. I just think, like, my thing is if you can get a top 10 talent at both your tackles, you do it. See, even if you have like an okay guy, just like a quarterback. Like if you can get a top 10 guy and you're at top 15, you do it.
No, don't get me wrong at all. I just want to say, so here's my thing, just to like my final justification. Hopefully, maybe you see the vision on this a little more.
Okay.
Here's my thing, is like we're in a transition period where the teams that have the interior dominance. Seems like recently it's been a change where it's like teams don't really know how to deal with that. And my thing is like you said, you take Dexter and him, you can't double team anyone on the edge, and then you have Tez just running free all game.
You could also pay an edge.
And that's
pay an edge in free agency.
I think it was more just like if you take my vision, I think you're getting Tez free a lot. Yeah. And Newton has showed he can kind of line up on the edge too. He's kind of like a hybrid. He has like a weird like little thing going for him where it's like you get someone you can kind of just play around with. And I think that's my thing is, and if I'm the Bears, I'm like, you know what, we need trench help. But I think there's not really a wrong answer to this. As long as it was the D line or the O-line. I think it was you just got to pick your poison.
Also, I will say this is probably the worst scenario if the Bears want to build offense through the draft. Like, all top receivers go and Brock Bowers. Like, in my opinion, like, if I'm the Bears and Brock Bowers falls to me, you're taking him immediately. Like, there's no question you're taking Brock Bowers.
No, that's a great point for sure.
All right, let's go to the 10, the New York Jets. I think this is pretty easy. We're going to take Olu Fashanu. The Jets need to do anything they can to build that offensive line so Aaron Rodgers isn't running for his life. I mean, like, the offensive line this year was putrid, and their offense was a result of that. Kind of fucking disgusting. So I don't really know what else to say.
Offense.
Food poisoning offense. Whether you want Olu, Talise Fuaga, even like a J.C. Latham, if you want to, depending who you like. I think Olu's the best choice for them right now.
No, I'm with you on that completely. I think for that one, I think that might be the most clear-cut pick we've had so far, honestly.
All right, let's go 11, Minnesota Vikings.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. This one is really hard. Give me a second here, just because
I know who I would take.
They are really in a like a funky position right now. Mm-hmm. But I think
I will say this.
I know. Oh, I think we're thinking the same thing. No, I know what I'm doing here too. I I am taking Talise Fuaga, and I'm saying, like we just said, I don't know where he's gonna play on the line just yet, but I know that we're either kicking a tackle over to guard or he's going to that guard spot. Okay. And I'm because again, my thing with trenches. And again, like I've been saying, when you're in a position where as a team maybe you don't really know exactly where you stand, trenches. Just if there's any questions, trenches.
So I would have went trenches here too. I'm just very high on Leatu Latu, and I think with the possibility of Danielle Hunter not coming back next year, I think that is a position more of need than the offensive line.
He would fill that position really well. Right.
So I would have gone there, but like my thing is like anytime you're taking a early round tackle or early round trenches, I'm not going to complain, So number 12, we have the Denver Broncos. Okay. I'm going to go corner here, but I don't know if I'm going to take Cooper DeJean or I'm going to take Terrion Arnold. I kind of want to take Terrion Arnold because the idea of pairing him with Pat Surtain, because my thing is like, in my opinion, like Cooper DeJean and Terrion Arnold are like CB 1A, 1B. And I think the other thing is like, I believe, Cooper is a junior, right? Terrion Arnold is a sophomore. And like, I think there's things that you can teach Terrion Arnold where he develops and he's just such a physical guy. Like, he's just so good. I think Terrion Arnold to the Broncos is a nice pick to pair with Pat Surtain.
Okay, I love it right there. I think, Terrion Arnold right here, maybe a little earlier than expected, but I do think it's a prime spot. The two Alabama corners, I love it. And like you said, you get a little bit more age and room for development. Like Terrion Arnold has showed us, he's not even at his peak. He's literally physically anywhere near. So I love the pick right here. I think Terrion Arnold to the Broncos would be exactly what they need. Maybe especially after like per se a little bit of a Pat Surtain like slump season. Maybe get him right back into form. Get one of the Alabama boys back in there. I don't know. I think you're onto something with that one right there.
Number 13, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Dobbs, where are you going with this one?
See, man, it's tough. But it's really tough. This is one of those ones where I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm struggling right now, bro. I'm struggling a little bit. Where do we go with this one, bro? You know what? I think the Raiders are going to say, you know what? We still have a top 10 prospect on the board, potentially, depending on how you view it. Where you got some questions about him. Call it for what it is, which is the obvious. I can say it. He's a white corner. How do you? Is it internally? You say to yourself, I don't know how do we feel about this? Is he the anomaly that we've been waiting for, or is I'm gonna say if you watch the film, you say Cooper DeJean's got it. Not only that, if you're the Raiders, you need a guy like Cooper DeJean. You need some size. You need some length. You need a ball hawk, a guy who can track it in the air, a guy who's physical. I say to the Raiders right here, I'm taking Cooper DeJean to go help out that secondary.
So,
especially with the Antonio Pierce hiring, the defense first, I think it makes sense.
So I'm glad you went with that because like the Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean, like I think those two picks are like interchangeable. Like I would have went corner at 13 as well. So number 14, we're gonna go to the New Orleans Saints. Oh, Dobbs, what do we do here with the Saints, man? What do we do?
Where do we start?
I am leaning tackle.
I would have been too.
Because I don't know if Trevor Penning is gonna be the guy. The trenches are like low key falling apart. Andres Pete is gone. Like
they've been apart.
So I guess it's like you could. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of potential in Amarius Mims, but if you want the safe route, you go J.C. Latham. So I think I'm gonna go J.C. Latham here because I think with kind of like the question marks with a Trevor Penning, you kind of want more of a safe option. So I'm going to go J.C. Latham here.
No, I love that pick. I think, and this is one of those ones where we can end up looking back in a few years. I think J.C. Latham's that prospect where it's like, we could look back and be like, man, J.C. Latham was the best tackle all along. Yeah. And it was just because, like, what he put out on tape was exactly what he is. It's just like, he's just a big motherfucker who really doesn't, where there's not like really much that needs to be improved in the game. It's kind of just like, he's big, he's huge. He's not the fastest guy ever, and he'll never make up for that. But he has very sound technique, and he's just very strong at the point of attack. Like it's kind of like, and that at the end of the day, that's what wins you in the trenches. Like he's one of those guys who really might just be like, we look at the development of a guy, but sometimes like J.C. Latham's one of those guys where it's like he's already got it. It's just if he can step in and stay healthy.
So number 15, we have the Indianapolis Colts. Dobbs, where are you going?
That's another tough one, isn't it? Because there's a lot of ways I could go right here. I think though. Again, playing it probably I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to play it where I think that they would agree it's time to go. Look, we got to get DB help. Nate Wiggins is still sitting here, and you get a big corner, a lot of length, help you out, defending the bigger receivers, bigger tight ends coming in the league nowadays. I think, for me, with that being said, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go Nate Wiggins right here.
I like the pick. I think, honestly, I don't think they could go wrong with really any pick on the board here. I think they are not horrible at any position, but I think secondary is the one that they need most help in. And obviously you have Kool-Aid McKinstry, and then you have Rakestraw, but these are later round guys in my opinion. I think Wiggins is kind of the earlier round or mid round, first round corners, the last of them. So yeah, I think it's a good pick for the Colts. Number 16, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Man, I think...
Yeah, this is not an easy one either.
I don't know, man. It's tough. I'm between and one of the three edges here, Turner versus Latu, or Byron Murphy.
Well, I was thinking I would go edge here too.
I just think
now I'm with you. You're trying to think who the best fit is for them.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't Dallas Turner just kind of strikes me as a Seahawks type of guy? I don't know why, but I still think Latu is the best edge.
No, it's funny because I was just thinking the exact same thing. With that staff, especially if Dan Quinn sticks around,
or they're saying it's Dan Quinn or maybe Mike McDonald. The Ravens guy.
If it's the Ravens guy, then I would say even if it's Mike McDonald, even more I would say than Dallas Turner's the guy, because I'm sure in his mind, just like Danny Quinn, it's you get kind of a guy who can do you get a guy who has a versatile skill set.
All right, let's go Dallas Turner then at number 16 to the Seahawks.
I like it. I think Dallas is one of those guys where I still don't know how to feel about him all the way. I've watched 3 or 4 games fully on tape. He's an interesting player where I see the upside. I do. I also, there's a lot of reps where it leaves a lot to be desired for me, but again, it's also I am understanding that he's still growing into that frame, and he has a lot of traits that other edges don't have that are, it's a weird thing. I might grow into him more. I'm stuck in weird territory with Dallas Turner right now, though.
All right, number 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Where are you going, Dobbs?
So, all right, so this one, for me personally, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, look, now, I would normally, hear me out for a second.
Okay.
I think with the way, I would normally say, all right, Jared Verse makes sense because, right, the home is back in Florida, and they may lose Josh Allen this offseason, so no matter what, you're thinking, you need to get a guy off the edge, right? But I feel with how we're seeing Trayvon Walker kind of develop, he's obviously not Aiden Hutchinson, but we're seeing the development. We're seeing, all right, he's really kind of grown into his own. He's a very nice complement of the power and finesse, right? And I'm saying to myself, I just want to add a guy with that speed, with more finesse. So it's a dual threat of that speed finesse off the line. With that said, you got to give me Latu. Because
like
I
that
think
pick.
you're getting much more of that than you are with Verse. Where again, Verse has like what we talk about. Verse has great like straight line speed, and he's quick like when he's going in a straight line, but laterally not very much so at all. And he has like a big deficiencies in that area. Whereas with Latu, you get a guy who really can move. And yeah, we know about the injury concerns, but I'm going to take the upside, and more so that I think he really does fit very well into that Jags defense. You can drop him when you need to. You can really trust him in the run. And it's that same, like I said, it's just that speed finesse combo.
I would have done edge, Byron Murphy, or wide receiver there. So I'm not. I like that pick. I think Laiatu honestly fell further than where he's going to be drafted. I mean, obviously this is the end of January. We have months to go before the actual draft. But no, good pick. Number 18, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. I think you kind of have to go wide receiver here. You're going to lose Tyler Boyd. You're probably going to lose T. Higgins. You know, I'm between Brian Thomas Jr. and Troy Franklin.
I know what I would do if I was you. I would already think.
Troy Franklin is really fast, and I really like Jamar Chase, but I think like Troy Franklin may like give you a different type of receiver here. Brian Thomas Jr., big body guy who can go up and get it though. Lots of touchdowns. He had 17 this year, 1,100 yards. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like,
I'm gonna wait to see what I want to say because you're gonna cheese. I gotta let you make your pick first, but then
unless you want Ladd McConkey.
That's hilarious. You could totally see him.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
You
doesn't
could
he strike me as a Bengals guy?
You could see him totally fitting into that offense perfectly.
I think I'm gonna go Brian Thomas Jr. here.
I would say that number one, that was exactly what I was gonna do. And what I was gonna say is when you think about who they're gonna very likely have to replace, which is T. Higgins. That's literally the T. Higgins receiver out of this class. Like if we were comping him to somebody that that's already in the league, he is like a T. Higgins comp. So it's like you couldn't even draw it up better if you're the Bengals.
Number 19, Los Angeles Rams. I really wish I had this pick because I do not think we'd pick the same thing, but I'm interested to see where you go with it.
No, this is an interesting one. Okay, do you know what I'm gonna do right here? I'm going to do something crazy. But I'm also going to do this in faith that this is where Sean McVay announces the league. He's in it for the long run. Because the thing is, if you're the Rams, again, just being realistic. We've seen it now. The Packers have done it. You already know where I'm going with this one. The QB doesn't last forever.
I was going to go QB too.
It's good to have the successor in line, especially when you're in a position like the Rams. And I'm going to say, look, the QB sit on the board where I think he works very well with in the future with McVay and somebody who would be perfect to sit around for a while and just soak up information. You know what? Let me just make sure first. I just want to make sure that I have my eyes set on who I want to go with. I just want to make sure I'm not sleeping on anybody here. But yeah, no, give me him. I'm going Bo Nix right here. I think Bo Nix fits very well into the if there's a spot for him. I think it would be right here where, again, you know you're not starting him right away, but it's literally you're giving yourself the contingency plan now. I think that Packers way is going to start to show a little bit more. I think that after the third strike on it, I think more teams are going to start to be willing to go that route.
Yeah.
And I think Bo Nix to the Rams is just it might be chef's kiss material.
I mean, I was going to go Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy there. I think
JJ would be that's definitely
I think JJ McCarthy, as much as people want to rag on him, is going to fall into the first round strictly because of his intangibles, and like he is an athlete.
No, there's a lot of things to like.
And the Rams are okay with guys that are smaller and can get on the move. So I think Bo Nix is perfect there. I think JJ McCarthy's perfect there. Good pick. I was going to go quarterback too. I'm very surprised you went quarterback. Okay, so number 20, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think this is very hard. I am going to go Amarius Mims.
I love
Pair
that.
him with Broderick Jones. Whoever you have at quarterback there next year is going to need to be protected. The Steelers O-line, not the greatest, but if you get Amarius Mims, Broderick Jones, you have Isaac Seumalo, you're kind of building something there. So I think Amarius Mims is kind of the obvious pick there. I think you could go, tackle if you really wanted to. You could go corner, pair him up with like Joey Porter Jr., Minkah Fitzpatrick, kind of more in that safety role. But I think the more logical answer here is to go tackle.
No, certainly, and especially where you literally get the two Georgia Athletic boys back to back. Like you're definitely building a vision on the line. Like you're giving yourself a clear identity and like way of the run game's going to operate, and that's awesome because in the modern NFL, you got to have guys that can get out in space. We've seen it, like the Lions' prime example. You got to have guys like Sewell that can go get out there for the running back. It's exactly what the Steelers should be doing here.
All right, number 21, we got the Miami Dolphins.
So, this for the Dolphins, I guess, if for whatever reason, I don't know, our mock simulator just doesn't seem to understand that the Dolphins do need edge rush help. I don't know. They just, I don't know. I don't know why they don't think.
Desperately
I don't know
need
why
edge
they
rush
don't
help.
think that they don't need edge rush help, but apparently they don't. But anyways, so me personally, I know they need edge help. And this is a pick where you're going to have to say to yourself, look, I'm going to be honest. You're taking more of a shot, right? Like this is more of a shot pick. Because you feel the same way about him as I do. He's got a very he's rigid. He's got high upside, but I think also the downside is also pretty steep. But you got to take a shot when the talent's like this. Again, pre-combine, everything else. Things could change, guys. Hear me out. But right now, and I think we might be like lower on him the more people are high on him. So maybe like might count like a shock when I finally say who it is. But I'm going Jared Verse right here. Again, I guess you keep him in Florida. So either way, he still found his way out of Florida.
Yeah.
And athletic guy off the edge. You just need a strong edge rusher, and you need him. And I think it's kind of like my thing is too. Yeah, you could go Braylon Trice right here. I think I'm also very shaky on Braylon Trice, where I have a lot more faith right now.
Yeah.
Still in Jared Verse, so I'm going to take Jared Verse right here. And I'm going to say this is one of those more shot picks. But sometimes the shot picks are the ones that end up being really sexy later. So
I mean, I think that's the best option. I mean, you could really reach and go grab like Jackson Powers Johnson because they really do need a center. Or you could even grab Kool-Aid McKinstry at cornerback. But I think edge is the most glaring position for the Miami Dolphins. And, you can make the argument that maybe Verse fell a little bit farther than he should. And if he's on the board at 21, it's almost hard to pass up.
No, that's what I was thinking too. Exactly.
So 22, I don't really think this is a choice. Eagles are going to go Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yeah, though there was no
Darius Slay and James Bradbury are old as fuck, so I think that showed. So Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Eagles. I don't think there's really much to discuss with that one.
Yeah, I think that might be the most guaranteed pick with how the things laid out in this draft. Like that one was like there was no doubt, right?
We have 23. We have the Houston Texans.
Now this is one again where it starts to get interesting because you could go a lot of different directions with this one, right? Give me a minute to think about this one, bro. I really want to think what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
But it's like I didn't have to think about it too long going through the board because I'm gonna make it simple. I'm gonna say you're taking Byron Murphy. You're getting more help on the D line and the interior. The trenches win you games, and Byron Murphy's rising fast. And I've been loving what I've been seeing from the Texas tape. I think I'm gonna take
Byron Murphy as an interior pass rusher has a 19.6 pass rush win rate.
That is absolutely
crazy, unheard of for interior guys.
And
pairing him with Will Anderson,
playing great against Bama. Like there's a lot to be excited about if this ends up being reality for you Texans fans.
That's a great pick, Dobbs. I'm here at 24 with the Cowboys. I am going to go tackle here because Tyron Smith is getting older.
I love it.
I don't know if we go. They took Guyton last year. No, not Guyton.
Tyler Smith.
Tyler Smith.
And he had Tyler Smith, all pro. So if you're the Cowboys, you know what you're doing with that O-line scouting.
So I don't know if I want to go Troy Fontenot or if I want to go Jordan Morgan here.
I know who I'm taking personally. I got to wait, though. I'm waiting to see who you take.
Guyton is also not a bad pick. I think I'm going to go... I don't know. I feel like it's too early to really have, like, in my opinion, like a set opinion on these guys. I think I want to see like the combine and everything like that. Give me Jordan Morgan.
That was exactly what I would do.
I think it's just like you pair them up, you bring back youth to the O-line. Whoever's back playing quarterback, whether it's Dak Prescott, I don't see why it wouldn't be. Like, you got to bring youth there. So give me Jordan Morgan to the Cowboys.
Jordan Morgan, too, shout out to him. Huge part of that Arizona offense last year. I mean, really, like, Arizona kind of not came out of nowhere, but yeah, kind of came out of nowhere, and that offense was really flowing. QB situation switching up, things still rocking and rolling. I think Jordan Morgan is a huge reason you could point to that.
25, we have the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, man. I think the Packers are one of them positions where it's a fun pick, right? Like if you're a fan, this is a fun pick as the fan base. You very very impressed with not many expectations last year. Young squad to add to. What direction are we going, right? I think here's what I'm gonna do though. I'm taking Cameron Kitchens, safety from Miami. I think you getting a guy, you're getting some length, you're getting range, and if you're the Packers, you really need a safety.
Yeah, I mean,
you're getting the best one on the board. So
personally like Newbin a little bit better, but I still think safety is a good option. I also could have seen them taking Ennis Rakestraw Jr. just to get a little bit more cornerback help because I don't know if I'm not 100% confident that Jair Alexander's going to be there next year. Just like kind of with the way shit went down and everything.
It's a good point.
And like I don't think I'm trying to remember Eric Stokes, is he going to be there next year?
You know what? Let me just get in.
I
know either way that I don't think that Eric Stokes is the belief in him is nowhere near what it used to be. Like regardless of whether he comes back or not. And let me tell you,
that's what I'm saying.
He's not that nobody's looking at Eric
so he
Stokes.
has one more year on his deal. So yeah, I mean it was secondary help regardless. 26, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am gonna go. What do I want? They need a lot of stuff.
This is another one of those.
I feel like you got to go Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Like, their corners are getting older. They need help in the secondary. I could also see a receiver here because if Mike Evans walks, you have Godwin and Trey Palmer. But there is a guy. Okay, I know where I'm. Okay, I'm going to go Ennis Rakestraw Jr. I think they need corner help.
Okay, good. It's a good thing you did that too, because I already locked it on mine. No, I'm just kidding. It wouldn't have made a difference. That is hilarious. I was like, wait, tell me this fan is going Rakestraw, right? No, I think it's a great pick. You're getting a physical guy, and that's the Buccaneers' MO. Like you said, you need corners so bad.
27 Arizona Cardinals. Where are you going?
This definitely is another fun one, right?
Okay.
Okay, so because we went O-line early, if I'm not mistaken. You went with the O-line, right? Or no, I'm sorry, no, you went receiver early. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah,
you
went
receiver
Neighbors
early. So the O-line is still okay. Yeah. So they're interesting though because again they are very much in that range where you probably could do a lot. You really could do a lot right here.
Yeah.
Give me a minute to think about this one, bro. My apologies, because this one definitely is. This one's interesting.
This could be this could be a thing where it's like you double up on receiver.
No.
Getting Troy Franklin and Malik Neighbors in the first round is kind of crazy.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do right here, though. You could. No, you definitely could. You know what I'm going to do right here? I'm going to make a little bit of a reach.
Okay.
But I'm going to take a guy take a guy I know has good pedigree. I'm going Chris Jenkins right here.
Okay.
Give me Chris Jenkins to beef up that interior. And back to my philosophy, trenches overall. I think, we went with the flash early. They needed. It was needed flash. And now we're going to go with a stout. The not flashy, but I do love Chris Jenkins right here. I think maybe falling down the boards a little bit for whatever reason. Not even falling down. Let me rephrase. He's gonna make a rise on the board soon.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think Chris Jenkins will also make a rise. I think anything in the trenches for the Arizona Cardinals would be good. 28. Okay, I really like this, and I'm gonna make a reach here. Now, some people don't think it's a reach. I think it's a little bit of a reach. I don't think it's a first.
I'm about to cheese.
I'm going to go Keon Coleman to the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, that's definitely not what I thought you were about to do.
Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen has a big target. Pair him up with Stephon Diggs. He's a red zone threat. Obviously, didn't have all the stats that you want, but as a prospect, he's a big body that Josh Allen can trust to get the ball. I think you could add a Troy Franklin, but I think adding like a different type of receiver to that offense will do it wonders.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and you're going into a situation where as long as that they can find a way, where it's going to be we're going to have to pay attention to it. But let's say hypothetically Stephon Diggs is still there next year. Perfect situation for our boy over here, Keon, because it's a situation where we know Keon kind of struggles getting separation. That's his one really major flaw on tape. But you get a guy like Stephon around him. You get a guy who can help instantly take away his number one weakness, and it's like your iron sharpens iron, right? Because then it's like we know you're getting a contested catch, hands monster. So that would for a QB like Josh Allen, that's definitely a fun idea to picture.
I just don't think he's ever had that type of guy.
No, this would be like a very unique situation for sure.
29 Detroit Lions.
Interesting. Because the Lions are this is a weird. It gets weird towards the back end when you don't know how to feel about where people are at. I think though, Like, we know that they're going to have to – we know that they're going to – some stuff on the O-line is going to have to change. We know that – yeah, I mean – man, give me 1 second here, bro. I'm just –
No, you're good.
it's tough. I think, though, yeah, I think we're going to – I think this is going to be the reach.
Okay.
Or maybe the reach, where I think, though, it ends up where it makes sense. I think I'm going Jackson Powers Johnson here.
Okay.
Wherever you play him, whether they plug, because you know how it can go. Just because you're center one, sometimes in college you get plugged into guard right away in the league. Wherever the Lions want to play him, I think, though, yeah, your Lions, you know you're going to need some interior help. You got guys leaving on contract. I'm taking Jackson Powers right here. I'm not looking back.
Okay, I think that's not a bad pick. I would have also gone like Graham Barton or maybe one of the edges like Chris Braswell or Braylon Trice. But regardless, it's a trench pick. I don't really think. I mean, like if you wanted to, you could get like a Kamari Lassiter like as a cornerback. But I don't think that's a bad idea to beef up the trenches. I think, like I said, like regardless, you're going to have to protect who's playing quarterback back there. So number 30, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I think you go with Troy Franklin here.
There was not
pair him up with Zay Flowers.
There was no doubt for me either. That's exactly what I was thinking.
OBJ is a free agent after this year. You have Troy Franklin. You have Zay Flowers. You have Mark Andrews. Hopefully you sign a running back in free agency.
I was gonna say if we're just saying, if you're the Ravens, what's next? Like, how do you beat the Chiefs? What do you go to off season?
Speed.
I was gonna say, well, let's just run past them. Like it didn't work, but it didn't work with the guys that did it. Let's just run past them and see how that goes.
All right, number 31, Kansas City Chiefs. Where are you going, Dobbs?
Interesting, right? Oh man, I think, you know what? I'm not even gonna think about it too much. I think this would be not only it's the thing. It's not flashy, but it's fun. Does that make any sense? Like, not flashy, but fun at the same time. I'm going Lad McConkey.
I was gonna pick him too.
I'm going Lad McConkey to the Chiefs. I think type of guy where you talk about, that'd be a prime situation where you look at his college stats, and if you're more casual, you're not gonna really understand why, and you'd be like, what? And if Chiefs fans didn't really, you'd be like, what are we doing? Like, why and then you watch him in the offense, and you watch him with Mahomes, and you're like, oh, he's one of those guys that's going to have way better stats in the league than he did in college because X, X, and X, and the Chiefs would just be the perfect situation for him. There's not even too much more to say on it. Lad McConkey, the Chiefs would be, it would be like chef's kiss landing spot.
The only issue I have with Lad McConkey is he hasn't been able to stay like healthy, but I think with what we've seen with this Chiefs wide receiver room, like let's say you get like a top free agent as a wide receiver, then you have Rashee Rice and Lad McConkey along with Travis Kelce, you have completely revitalized that wide receiver and receiving core.
And I think what we're gonna say is, like, you're looking for a guy with like hands, like consistent, like you're taking the safe guy for sure right here. It's like Lad McConkey's gonna come and play safe football for you. I think that to me it's kind of the no-brainer right here.
So with number 32 with the San Francisco 49ers, okay, so I think I'm gonna go corner here. I think that is a position they need help at. I am between Kamari Lassiter, TJ Tampa, and Quinyon Mitchell.
I knew who I would take
because
here.
We could do edge. We could take Chris Braswell and Braylon Trice. But my thing is, like, that's not, in my opinion, like the most. Like, I don't really like. You can take like maybe like a Graham Barton or something like that to beef up the O line. But it's like I want to focus on the defense because I feel like that's kind of really where you've hit your hit like a break. You've hit a wall. So I think just to beef up the secondary, I don't know, dude. I love TJ Tampa. But like the thing with Kamari Lassiter is he's not the most like athletic guy, but he just always knows where he's supposed to be on the field. And I think that's kind of what the 49ers value.
Student of the game.
So I think we got to go Kamari Lassiter.
That is exactly what I was doing too.
And this is going to be our first round mock. This is You Don't Know Ball You Don't Know Ball mock draft 2024 1.0.
I was gonna say I was like hold on, it's the 1.0. Well, we're gonna have way more coming.
Yeah, we're gonna have more coming this month before the draft, and we have months and months and months, so we're going to keep knocking out mock drafts. This has been You Don't Know Ball. If you want to know ball, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think was the worst pick that we had and also the best pick. Leave a like. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great night.